Hello YouTube, it's Lane here with Hobbies of a Man once again, and today we are doing another manga review. Today we are reviewing Dr.Stone, the Prologue Saga, which is the first 12 chapters. The authors of Dr.Stone are Riichiro Inagaki, and actually he's the only author. The illustrator, though, is Boichi. And I don't know if he actually helped with the story at all. I assume not, but Boichi does write his own manga as well, besides just being an artist, so he might have a say in the story. I don't really think so, but he does the illustrations, which is really badass. Boichi's a great artist. And this is published by Viz here in the US, but of course it's a Shonen Jump title, so it's a Shueisha title, and it's in Shonen Jump, the magazine. And the demographic, because it's in Shonen Jump, is actually Shonen, duh. And the genres here are adventure, post-apocalyptic, and sci-fi, and that's kind of iffy. Definitely post-apocalyptic, and I hadn't really realized this until like yesterday when I was writing the draft for this. I was like, oh shit, that's true. It is post-apocalyptic. It's basically like it's post-apocalyptic. They managed to survive world-ending events, and now they're trying to rebuild society. That's definitely apocalyptic. However, the sci-fi aspect isn't necessarily in the kind of like general idea of sci-fi, which is like spaceships, aliens, and stuff like that. It's more in the sense that like science plays a big part in the fiction, but I mean, it's kind of like an odd classification. I don't really know how it works. I mean, I guess the science isn't necessarily hard, truthful, real science generally. Like sometimes it's probably not. So I guess sci-fi does apply, but it's very like not necessarily like that. It's not an aliens type of science fiction, if that makes sense. And adaptations wise, this does have an anime. I actually watched the first episode and a half of the anime way back when, and that was how I actually learned about this series, but I didn't get around to it until now. And I kind of am sad about that, because Dr. Stone seems to be very, very cool. I do really enjoy it. So yeah, the premise here is basically suddenly humans on Earth are all turned to stone. Or 3,700 years later, Senku, our main character, wakes up and works towards helping the rest of humanity wake from their stone slumber. And along the way, he basically realizes that he made a mistake, and he now has an adversary that is against reawakening all of humanity. So it's very interesting. I like it a lot. I think it's very cool. And the kind of ideas of the two protagonists, or the protagonist and the antagonist, Senku and Tsukasa, are kind of interesting, and you can kind of see both sides of it. So it's very cool. I like it a lot. Now, plotline wise, this deals with two arcs: the Stone Formula arc, which is the first couple chapters, and the second arc, which is a versus Tsukasa arc, which is the chapters 5 through 12, I think I remember correctly. And generally, I think it's very good. It sets up the premise of the story very nicely. It's how does Senku make enough stone formula, to save humanity? And can humanity even be saved, right? And then once you add in Tsukasa, it's about like doing that without letting Tsukasa get in the way. And it demonstrates both the main character and the antagonist very well. We kind of have this kind of like Minecraft moment early on. The whole time that the Stone Formula arc is going on, it's basically them doing a lot of repetitive like Minecrafty crafting type of stuff in order to kind of advance technology to the level they need. Like if you've ever played Tech, which is a special mod pack for Minecraft, that's basically what you're doing. That's basically what you're reading. You see Senku and Taiju just grab a bunch of rocks and smash them together, and then they make something, and then they do something else to make something else, and it's like very fun and very interesting, and I like it a lot. I'm actually kind of happy that they sped that along, because if that was like the first 50 chapters, that would have been very boring. But in a short kind of burst, it is very fun. And of course, they're going to probably do this throughout the whole series, so I'm looking forward to it. And then in the versus Tsukasa arc, we do get some actual like battle shonen type of action between Taiju and Tsukasa, and we get to see Senku use his muscles, not really his muscles, like his brain, to overcome Tsukasa's raw muscle, right? His power, his strength, his brawn, and I think it's very cool. And I don't know, it's a huge thing, and they only have the ability to fix it in very small scales, and so there's a lot of good character tension due to that, and I think it's very cool. I really did enjoy the plotline. I mean, there really wasn't much yet, but I am looking forward to seeing how this evolves and how this gets better. Characters-wise, there's essentially only 4 characters, and only, I think, 3 of them are meaningful. The 4th one doesn't really do anything. So Senku is our main character. He's the science man. He's super, super smart. He has this kind of crazy mad scientist vibe about him, but like mad scientist in the sense that he is like in love with science, but not in like the psycho, like all for science kind of way that a lot of crazy scientists are in like Western media. And then we have my man Taiju, who is actually kind of my favorite. He's like the very standard shonen protagonist. He has very strict ideals, and he has this kind of grit and determination. And he's basically the stamina man, and he's also the loyal supporter of Senku. He is the muscle to Senku's brain. A very kind of fun combination. It kind of plays into that kind of like Pinky and the Brain idea, or like I don't know, like the usual duo that you get in a lot of Western cartoons, which is like the smart guy and like the dumb guy that does all this work for them. But you know, usually in those, the dumb guy is the one that comes up with all of the ideas, and then the smart guy like acts like they're his. In this case, like the smart guy actually comes up with the smart ideas, and the muscle guy is just the one that helps him accomplish them. So it's very fun. I like it. And then Tsukasa, the main bad guy, essentially, is the strongest man alive, essentially. This guy is basically Hercules, and he's so badass. I like him so much. He's so cool. But he has this kind of opposing idea to Senku. He does want to bring humanity back, but he wants to bring the humans that he deems worthy, which are young people. Right? But his like logic is somewhat sound. Like, he has a bad backstory. He has negative connotations that deal with adulthood. But the thing is, everyone turns into adult eventually, and the only reason why adults are like that in our world is because of modern kind of capitalism and like ideas like this, right? This kind of idea that money is power and that you need money to survive and stuff like that. And this isn't necessarily applicable in a caveman-esque society like they find themselves in, but that doesn't mean that it won't actually end up being like that if people with modern ideas live in this type of society. So Tsukasa's kind of logic there is a little bit wonky, but I can see where he's coming from, and his ideals aren't necessarily bad. It's just the way he executes them is pretty shitty. So I think it's very interesting, and I like his contrast to Senku, because he's intelligent enough to provide Senku with a challenge, but also super strong. So Senku's challenge isn't just his smartness, but rather the fact that he's so much more physically able than Senku. So I think that's very cool. And then our last character is Yuzi Riha, who is the female character. She's not really a female lead character. She's basically Taiju's crush, and she essentially does nothing the whole time. Like all 12 chapters, she was stoned for about 8 of them. And then the last 2 or 3 chapters that she wasn't stoned, she was the emotional support character, but she doesn't ever actually show any support for Senku or Taiju. She's just kind of there so that we can have a female character in the picture, which is kind of bad. I didn't really like it, but hopefully we do get some better female characters later on. I know that there are some. I've seen Boichi's YouTube channel where he just does a lot of drawings. I actually really enjoy watching those, so I know that there's a lot of female characters that show up later. It's just like the first one, Yuzi Riha, is not very fun. So yeah, world building wise, it's very solid. It's very enjoyable. I think it's very good. Because the world building is very basic, but it's kind of like mysterious, so you don't really need that much world building. But however, the kind of situation building, the setting building is very good. we get to see how nature has overtaken society and modernity and modernity or modernness, and how it has overcome humanity's imprint on the world. And so we're back to this kind of like natural lush jungle in these areas. And so basically Senku and Taiju and all of these other humans that are around again need to carve out their niche once more. And I think it's very cool. I also like this kind of idea that there's a mystery to this. However, it's not a mystery that cannot be solved. It's just a mystery that requires a lot more work than they can currently do right now. And so it's very good. I like the setup a lot. I'm curious to see what the actual goal of the story is. Like, yes, technically the goal is for Senku and Taiju to reanimate humanity, but that's not necessarily the case. And they do bring up this idea of Senku wanting to go to space, but why would you go to space if you have problems to fix here on Earth? But also, is finding the reason why everyone turned to stone not important or something? I don't know. I think that there's a lot of possible goals, and I think that they are going to achieve all of them, but eventually there's going to have to be something that like becomes the main focus. And I'm assuming aliens are involved at some point because Senku wants to go to space really bad. And that could be like a very interesting reason. Like, I don't know, aliens turned humans to stone because it was an easy way to get rid of them. And because it allows nature to regain power, and so they don't have to terraform the planet or anything. I don't know, I think it's a very interesting concept, but I have no idea where this is actually going, and I'm really excited to see how this develops. So, yeah, art-wise, I think it's great. Boichi is a wonderful artist. I don't have any complaints yet, although his characters do look very similar to characters from his other works. However, that's not really a relevant fact to the majority of Western readers. However, I mean, since I am kind of interested in Boichi's artwork, I have tried to look at his other works, maybe not read them, but like definitely look at pictures of them. And I do notice that Tsukasa looks very similar to the secondary character in Sunken Rock, and Senku obviously looks like Ken from Sunken Rock, and Taiju looks like characters in Sunken Rock as well. And of course, Boichi has a very specific style for female characters that I think is wonderful. It's very beautiful. They're very like sexy forward, I guess. But you know, some people might have issues with that, and also the fact that he's not very good at drawing different female faces. But I mean, it's not really a problem. His art still looks amazing, and he also has a very cool ability to make his art of nature and backgrounds very, very important and very impactful. I think it's very good. Like the scene where we see the Buddha statue overcome by nature is very, very badass. I liked it a lot. It was very cool. Fanservice wise, like I said, since the female character wasn't really introduced until near the end of the first saga, I don't really think that there was any major fan service. However, there was a lot of basically naked dudes with no clothes on with a lot of muscles. So I guess there is some fan service if you're a female reader. And I guess guys kind of like that too. And like, I mean, maybe not in like the sense that like they're attracted to it, but that it's just cool to see dudes that are fucking ripped. So I guess there is fan service for guys in that sense as well. But I mean, the female characters that are visible are pretty attractive looking, even if they're not like necessarily there for the fan service. They're just kind of like in the background because they're stone and they can't move. But yeah, I assume that fan service is going to rise and get progressively more and more as we introduce more female characters. So yeah. Rating wise, this is a 4 out of 5. I thought it was very good, a very solid start. But really, there's really nothing much to get on with yet. However, I like that it's not a battle shonen in the normal sense. Like, there's definitely going to be aspects of battle shonen. There's probably going to be a tournament arc later. However, right now, it doesn't feel like that. It has a very cerebral kind of context, a very kind of survival slash adventure slash quest type idea to it that I like a lot, that I think is very good. and I am looking forward to seeing what happens later. But I also find it to be very, very unique. However, it didn't really have anything just yet that I found supremely great, which is why I couldn't give it a 5. But it's very enjoyable. I definitely recommend it, and I don't have any similar titles to this. However, I think that if you like playing Minecraft or like survival situation TV shows and movies, you'll probably like this. You'll probably enjoy this quite a bit, actually. So yeah, that's basically it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below. Let me know what you thought. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and see you guys later.